this year. Maybe, just maybe, you might spend an all-pro vote on him as a third teamer. The guy leads ThunderTalk in kills. Junglers don't do that.
No.
Junglers don't lead their teams in kills.
No.
It's
your
highly
ADC,
impressive.
Or maybe your mid laner, right, for leading in kills. The fact that it is going to be their jungler right here, leading is incredible, and the amount of respect JDG are putting on his head is really strong. I love the idea of just taking the Ezreal right now. It takes it away from the Karma, obviously, but also just an incredibly strong pickup in and of itself. They've really enjoyed pairing it up alongside heavy aggression down in the bottom side whenever they have grabbed this one, but you can also go towards something like the Bard if you want it as another one of those heavy roaming options. That could be far later on in the draft, though. For right now, you do want to grab something for Junhao before the entire jungle pool gets banned away, and it is going to be the Vi as the lock-in, so potentially looking for a slightly more early game heavy gank focus.
We have banned a lot of JunJia junglers, and now we're really starting to get down into the dregs here. Some of these lower tier junglers. Obviously, Junhao is still a fine option, but you have to pick it up here or else you might not get it on the next go around. Instead, it is going to be a Maokai, which is a champion we've started to see crop up just a tad more, but we are heavily indexing into the Gala show right now.
Yeah, we are. We are very much saying, hey, Gala, you are going to be our main carry in this one, which I am not mad about seeing, right? As we talked about, we want to see more out of Gala. He had a pretty weak performance in that previous game. And ThunderTalk do indeed round out with the Bard. So heavy roaming, expecting to see Feather and Junhao together a lot. Obviously, you can leave Arn alone in this lane. Yeah, there's a lot of poke that can come through from a Syndra... from a Sivir and a Karma, but they're really not going to mind that in that situation. Arn can sit far enough back. So, on to the mid laners and the top laners in this situation. We saw a lot of top laners be moved around early on in these drafts, but haven't really seen them be too prioritized so far.
Yeah, we talked about setting a highlight on them in that first game, and while there still will be some sort of highlight around them, this time around it's got to be these junglers here and what early moves we're going to see, especially if you're on this Maokai as JunJia. You really need to make an early impact, whether it's with your ultimate, whether it's getting off a cheeky gank. Twisted Advance is one of the best gank tools in the game. If you're able to get your team ahead, get these solo lanes ahead, that's exactly what you're looking for. We did talk about it earlier. You mentioned this. Getting Vampire on a good roamer. I mean, Karma can roam around a little bit, but is still not the Vampire champion we expect.
No, indeed. And really interesting that we're going to see this Tristana ban right here. As I highlighted, last time these teams played, it was Tristana top lane for Xiaoxu. So I wonder if this is just going to be the Gnar that Keshi played in that game, got absolutely eviscerated by that Tristana. Maybe doesn't want to deal with that as the potential matchup. They can obviously leave this top lane pickup for the last pick. The Victor has been something that ThunderTalk have gone towards a lot less often that a HongQ has. This is more of a takeaway from HongQ than something that specifically Heru is great on, but I think it works well in this teamfight composition.
I hate Victor with Vi. I just hate it so much.
You just want something with more roam, more pairing?
I want something that at level 6 can kill somebody, and oftentimes it's a little difficult to do. Now, this combo is fine, the gravity well with the cease and desist, but a lot of times you don't necessarily have the damage to get you over the top. So that's just why I'm not really a fan of it. I like to see an aggressive mid-jungle duo come through there. Speaking of aggression, Olaf will be the lock-in here for Xiaoxu. The problem is, ThunderTalk Keshi is going to have his pick on whatever the heck he wants to go into this Olaf. That Akali will get locked in to round out this JDG composition. They run at you all day, all the time. This should be really awesome to see.
Let's see what this final pickup is going to be. Obviously, the Camille has itself a pretty interesting time into the Olaf. I'd be surprised if that's what the lock-in right here is going to be.
Oh, there it is!
It is indeed going to be.
The reports of Camille's death were greatly exaggerated, Bloxer.
Yeah, we're going to keep the Camille in this situation, and it's not going to be in the support role for once, right? Camille support has been all over our maps recently, but instead is going to be in the top side, and I like this. As much as you're not happy about the Victor alongside the Vi, I really like the Camille alongside the Vi. As well as having the Bard, you've got so much roaming potential alongside the jungle here out of ThunderTalk. You've got a composition that can play through the early stages of the game, but also has some really fun late game scaling options as well.
This is one of the tougher matchups for an Olaf to deal with, at least in solo queue. And this is precisely why I avoid this lane, because I'd be really, really sad if I was Xiaoxu right now. So Keshi trying to take fate into his own hands here. We said that they were going to have to put the ball in his hands for game one. I thought it might be the junglers. Nope. After that pick, I am all aboard the Keshi train for him to try to take over this game, Bloxer. Camille is a pick that he's had a couple of times throughout his career, including his time on some youth teams. 8-3 in his career so far, looking to make it a nice 9-3 for 75% win rate.
Let's see if he's going to be able to do it. Looking over on the other side of things, JDG got a composition that mostly wants to just run straight at you later on in the game, obviously. You pop the on the hunt, all of a sudden Xiaoxu is running at you incredibly fast with this Olaf Trust, trying to get into the back line to his advance as well. Going to be really important for JDG's ability to team fight, but they do have a couple of lack of tools for actually trying to keep Gala alive. We said this was going to be the Gala show. Not sure how well he's going to be able to play.
Well, he's going to be telling everybody else to charge when he drops his ultimate. Could be the final game of the first series of the day as ThunderTalk looking to clean up a clean 2-0. JDG looking to fight back and force game 3. It's a lot better than the first one.
Yeah, it's a lot more energized right here. More fans probably pouring in as well as we get through this first series of the day. Let's have a look at whether or not we're going to be going to a game number 3. Obviously, we'll reiterate right here, incredibly important matchup for both of these teams. ThunderTalk don't want to deal with the play-ins. JDG want to get themselves away from the play-ins as well, but also want to secure themselves one of these top spots, an easier matchup when it comes to the first round of the playoffs. Lots to play for both of these squads.
And remember, we talked about the teams that these guys are going to face up against a little bit later. So we'll hold that thought as Feather flashes forward onto Gala just for some damage. Exhaust goes down. He flashes away. But now Vampire finds himself in a bit of a weird spot. He did hit level 2, so he was able to shield himself to get a little bit of extra movement speed. But if ThunderTalk can win this series against JDG, they could easily 3-0 this week. It is very, very doable. And if JDG lose this series to ThunderTalk, they could easily 0-3. Yeah. It would be an absolute disaster to see that happen. Could you imagine this team end up in the play-ins after that 4-game winning streak where we thought their season was revived?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, right, like the LPL graphic we saw earlier, the roller coaster has been a very true way of putting it right here. Just super up and down from this squad, and they just haven't been able to find that consistency. As you said, right, ThunderTalk, they've got themselves some easy matchups coming up, right? LGD and EDG as the next couple of games to be playing. They play the Group Nirvana teams from previously. So things may well be looking on the up here for ThunderTalk, and what a story that would be.
All right, here comes JunJia. This is exactly what we said was needed here. Feather with a good Bard portal to... He did get tethered. He will have to run very quickly. He's got no flash. And this was a great first gank here from JunJia. First blood goes over to him, and this is exactly what the doctor ordered for JDG.
Indeed, it is really nice to just see them instantly getting themselves onto the board. Good early ganks coming on through, and this is the proactivity they were trying for in the previous game, but in a situation in which they actually have the damage to make it stick. And I think what's going to make things a heck of a lot easier in this game is that ThunderTalk just don't have that same level of map presence with this composition. They're not going to be able to roam around to these plays anywhere near as quickly and cut them off, because the counter ganks were just killer to JDG in the previous game.
Keshi has a level advantage right now, but Xiaoxu is going to exhaust him. The hook shot to get away. Xiaoxu flashes forward. Keshi's got the ignite. Does not have the gumption to stand up to Xiaoxu.
And this was the counter pick, right? This was the R5 pickup coming on through out of ThunderTalk, and Keshi not paying it back to the squad. Now, we're going to see Junhao potentially go for some sort of gank or dive bot lane. He is going to be spot out just on the very end of that ward, and that should stop any aggression from actually coming on through.
First attempt from Junhao foiled. It's almost the exact opposite of what we saw here in Game 1. It's ThunderTalk the ones trying to make some action happen that have been unable to convert on that. So a good start for the JDG squad because of it. The only thing that JDG needs to knock off their checklist now is to disrupt Heru. Do what you can to make sure that this Victor doesn't have a free ride in the laning phase. There's so many times where you've got a late game scaling champion like that, and they're able to just kind of hang out and do their thing. HongQ really starting to put the pressure on. He wants him dead.
Absolutely, the squeeze is exactly what you need to be seeing right here. I like that roam from HongQ as well. Get a little bit of vision down. It's going to work out. Okay, Keshi should be able to get away. Yeah, hookshot to get himself out. And that ward that was placed down by HongQ is going to spot out onto Junhao if he goes and clears his camps.
Keshi, I don't think he has this hookshot. He is going to get this shield. Here goes
nice.
Flash! Q!
Boom.
Xiaoxu down! Keshi lives!
There we go, Junhao just about going to get there in time. Keshi living on a sliver of HP. Obviously, with the show in the top lane, it's going to be this early Drake going over to JDG for a composition with as much scaling that they have, as much early game pressure as they want to be putting on. That is still going to be pretty nice for JDG, still stabilizing in the top lane.
There's a huge breath of life into ThunderTalk early, but the better news about this is not only is it a dragon, but it is an ocean dragon, which is one of the best first dragons to get, especially in the laning phase. Helps you sustain up a little bit. You know, everybody really thinks of the first couple of dragons as afterthoughts, but that one seems to be one of the more impactful ones early.
Very, very much so. I really do like to see that picked up. Obviously, it's not quite a wet noodle fight up in the top lane, which is where the Ocean Drake could really, really shine, but still, with these aggressive top laners constantly dueling, that little bit of extra healing is going to be really nice for them to be getting through. As we continue to watch through on this early game, no massive advantages really forming back and forth at this point. A little bit of extra gold onto JunJia in the jungle, but really other than that, things pretty even.
Early haunting guys for JunJia. As soon as he's able to pick up that Leandry's item, this is where the saplings get very annoying. He's able to infest ThunderTalk's jungle before they can get to an objective. It will really slow them up later. That's one thing that gonna have to keep an eye on as this game progresses. Both junglers are at level 6. We didn't see Junhao make a play after his ultimate was available, but did make that play a little bit earlier in the top side, so he does get a reprieve for that. But if you are a ThunderTalk fan, you want to see him getting active once again, making a play with cease and desist. Xiaoxu and Keshi can go at it again for a little bit, but with that hook shot, Keshi can always take a fight on his terms.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just constantly having to jump away though, right? You would have loved to have been able to play with that little bit of extra aggression coming on through, not being the case so far. Instead, you can see he's just going to have to use these honey fruit to keep himself nice and healthy. Both junglers been having a look for potential ganks in the past couple of minutes, but haven't really been able to find anything too aggressive to go towards. They both obviously do have those level 6s, and like you said, some of the best ganking 6s that you can have right here. So let's see who's going to be able to use that proactively first.
Both of these top laners also like to chop down these turrets, which means in 30 seconds, we might see a grub fight come through. It would make a pretty big impact. Look at Gala get a free trade onto On, taking him down to about half HP. As you're not getting the same advantages as you were in the last game, ThunderTalk, not in that bottom lane.
No, and it's been really interesting so far that Feather hasn't felt empowered to roam around. He's pretty much been stuck to Arn's side so far, and that is some of the joy that you can get out of the Sivir and the Karma. So much poke available between those two that it can be a bit tough to have your support actually walk away if you still want to be able to step up and hit onto the waves. Still is going to be the resets coming on through. No first items completed, of course. Nobody's been able to accelerate themselves that far ahead of the pace. As you said, the grub's going to be very important, and JDG roaming towards those first.
They've pushed up their vision line, they've moved their members up, but now we see pings going onto the top lane. Keshi desperately trying to get to the wall. He does get exhausted. He manages to get to his side of the turret. Junhao is here to try to save the day again, but this time it's Xiaoxu who gets the kill, and Junhao finds himself in a 3v1 and taken down by Akali. JDG first to the play, first to the kills, and gonna pick up the grubs.
And that's just a miscommunication right here from ThunderTalk. You knew that the JDG members were roaming up towards the top side of the map, but Keshi, after his MVP performance in the previous game, just sticking around way too long, putting himself in a bad spot. And the bits of the composition out of ThunderTalk that needed to get going early on just simply have not been able to do so.
Now, the good news for ThunderTalk is it's not all doom and gloom. Keshi is going to get a Trinity Force, which is an incredibly strong item. On's also going to get a Trinity Force at some point. Looks like even Junhao is building toward a Trinity Force. This team is going to be really potent on that spike Bloxer.
Yeah, that first item spike is going to be absolutely massive for the squad and exactly what you are looking towards, right? They've got some late game scaling options, but really that first item power spike is going to be incredibly important. That's why it's unfortunate that they're down by about 1,400 gold. They would have wanted to hit that spike ahead of their opponents. Instead, you are going to be getting some of these first items through on the JDG members at around about the same time. Now, the items are not as potent, they're not going to be as strong at that first item spike, but it still is going to give them at least some hope of being able to fight back.
That's going to be that window I'm looking for, provided that ThunderTalk keep the game where it is right now or try to turn it a little bit further in their favor. If they fall further and further behind, the less potent the spike is because the more items that JDG will have. Junhao hanging out around the top side, just waiting for his camps to respawn as his cease and desist play was unsuccessful. Gala taking to about half HP in the blink of an eye as Vampire nowhere to be found near his AD carry, but will now begin to link back up with Gala's honest, really just tagging him for free.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, that's a huge chunk of damage taken away. Obviously, it's in the area, so you're going to feel a little bit more empowered as the JDG bot lane to stick around in this situation. Oh, not quite going to be able to stop the recall coming through from Gala. So this is just going to be a wave pushed on in. JunJia doesn't feel like he can come and stop this from happening, though, and so some plating at least into the pockets of ThunderTalk there, getting gold somewhere.
Keshi, nice flash there by Xiaoxu, and Keshi is in his own ultimatum, gets hit by the undertow, but Xiaoxu cannot continue. So, hey, he got the flash out. This is a win for Keshi.
Indeed it is. It makes him a little bit safer as he goes on forwards. Obviously, he does have the Ignite as well, so with him resetting, able to teleport back into lane, going to get a full push on through. Over on the other side of the map, of course, JDG going to be able to pick themselves up their second Drake of the game, and now could potentially look for a gank here. HongQ has run down.
Right on top of Gala, he's exhausted, flashes over the wall, but he's gone golden in a bad way. It's Feather picking up that kill. Now it's another 3v3 as Junhao is getting chopped down by HongQ and will not be able to survive. HongQ maybe once on, he's forced to flash away as Heru loses HongQ in the shroud.
Oh, the stun!
Feather, but the perfect execution gets him out. Keshi and Xiaoxu go at it. Keshi is a level up, but still can't stand up to Xiaoxu. We'll get a little bit of help from the blast cone, but it's JDG equalizing the fight downstairs.
Things continuing to go well for JDG. They haven't been able to expand this gold lead out any. It's still sat at exactly the same point that it was previously. Things are looking up for them. Like you said, really nice to just immediately engage right here onto Gala, but yeah, the golden just delays things that little bit, right? It gives enough time for HongQ to get over to this play, not enough time for you to be able to fully reposition. Not exactly the tempo fight that you would have been looking for right here from Feather. In the end, HongQ, the fact he's able to survive right here just about with the perfect execution over the wall is good to see for JDG. They really are looking towards sending us to a game number 3.
HongQ got out of that with his flash intact, by the way, so that's just a tough loss for ThunderTalk down there, not really getting anything for HongQ going so deep, and in fact losing the flash of On, which was a very heads-up flash. Good news for ThunderTalk. Trinity Force is complete on Keshi and Junhao. Feather just throwing down some coffee over to Keshi, letting him heal up just a little bit. I think that's the Cafe Cuties Bard skin.
Very cute Bard skin. Although first time we're seeing it out of the bottom.
Wait, is it? No, that
right
might be T1. I'm sorry.
I have no clue.
I don't play a whole lot of Bard.
I do not remember what skin is what. I can barely remember the names of the Warwick skins at this point in my life. Keshi, yeah, big chunk of damage. But yeah, the first time we've seen Feather out of his lane, actually feeling empowered enough to roam around, mostly because they've now brought On up into the mid lane. However, as we talked about, those spikes have now come through, right? That's going to be 3 Trinity Forces completed on the side of ThunderTalk. They've got the Blackfire Torch onto Heru as well, so he's beginning to do damage, although of course not going to be hitting that same level of power spike as the rest of them. Keshi potentially under threat, should be okay from ganks. Still needs to be careful about just getting taken out by Xiaoxu though. We've seen just how much he's been able to do.
Needs to be careful because every time Xiaoxu gives up ground, Keshi is going to get an auto attack on this turret and begin to whittle it down further and further. There's what, a plate and a half left compared to the 4 plates on the other side. Despite the fact that Xiaoxu is up in kills, I mean, Keshi is just dominating in CS right now and has been getting the better of Xiaoxu economically at the very least. Herald coming up in about 40 seconds, so this is where we're going to see this ThunderTalk squad and their Triple Trinity Force go to work. We'll see if JDG want to fight up against it. It'll be a tough decision for them to make. If I were them, I would avoid it.
Yeah, most likely going to be the option here is Keshi once again under threat. He's going to get dove.
Okay, he is going to get rooted. He still does have the Sextech ultimatum. He's exhausted. He's going to look for JunJia, but he is going to go down as a play on the bottom side by ThunderTalk. No answer there. So JDG will work on this top side.
Yeah, it's going to be this tower, or at least most of it, going on down to the side of ThunderTalk, so they're at least getting something back on the other side, but it is going to be first tower picked up for JDG as well. And you can see also push coming through in the mid lane too for JDG. They're really making it work across the entire map right here. Nice to see that they have been so proactive, getting the Rift Herald 2 on top of everything.
I'm curious, Bloxer, and I want to know your opinion on this. It appears that ThunderTalk just valued getting more gold into Heru as opposed to trying to fight with this Triple Trinity Force spike. They leave Keshi out for dead on the top side of the map. They give up the Herald. What do you think of that? Because I am very much against it. I think they should have fought.
I think you've got 3 champions right here who have hit their big power spikes, right, with the Trinity Force, massive injection of power into them, whereas you're going to be waiting a long time on this Victor. Now, I can understand wanting this Victor to be a big part of your game plan, and Heru, he's been a big part of wins when ThunderTalk have been able to find them, but the fact that you don't even try to fight in this situation, I think is really a mistake. You're just stepping past the bit of power that your composition has, and looking over on the other side of things, right, the Gunblade's coming on through, the Yongtao's arrows, these are all items that need a couple more to really get you online. You're allowing JDG to hit their power spikes by playing so slow.
The good news is On will have a further power spike once that tier item is completed, but that's going to take a little bit. And with a dragon already up, JDG can put themselves on soul point, especially with Junhao showing top. So now they're going to go help out Keshi to take this top turret and be a split push force, but JDG on soul point, 16.5 minutes into this game. Bloxer, I think ThunderTalk are mismanaging this game.
Yeah, I think they have just sort of lost their nice, calm, collected approach that they had in the previous game, mainly because JDG just aren't making as many mistakes, right? As much as we were praising ThunderTalk in the previous one. Yeah, we were praising JDG and ThunderTalk in the previous one for not over-pushing their hand, right? Responding to the mistakes that JDG made, but in this game where JDG aren't making a ton of mistakes, ThunderTalk are not doing much to make the game happen for them. They're not being proactive about it. Still, the gold lead isn't egregious, right? And it isn't specifically sat on anybody, really. Not really reflected on in the items because of that. So it's not the end of the world for ThunderTalk. I'd like to see a bit more proactivity, but they're at least keeping it even.
Alright, Keshi's going to force the flash out of Xiaoxu, but that's about it for the moment. He does have a shutdown on him, as do the entire top side of JDG. ThunderTalk are going to need to try and force something here before JDG get a little too strong. As mentioned, the gold lead is really not crazy at this point in time, but the next objective is not going to be for 2 more minutes, and that's going to be Baron. So maybe ThunderTalk could look for a side lane play here with Tempered Fade or with Cease and Desist, because they have the tools, they just have been very gun-shy about using them.
I mean, we've barely seen any of these Cease and Desists coming out from Junhao at all. He's played a couple, right, in the top lane as counter ganks to try to save Keshi. Hasn't really been able to put many of his own on the board and make things happen. A composition with this many tools to roam around to get involved in other lanes, the fact that it hasn't really happened is incredibly worrying. And I mean, look at Gala now. He's going to have completed 2 items. He's getting to the point where he's beginning to hurt and really has just been under no threat to have to accelerate his game. He's been able to just sit and farm up as much as he wants to. Nearly 200 CS at this point.
Yeah, when we talk about allowing like a champion, a late game champion like a Victor to scale, the same goes for a Sivers. He has been unbothered. And somebody who has been bothered quite a bit is Keshi. He is going to stare at these roots coming right at him, but his buddy Feather might be able to save him for the moment. Hextech ultimatum goes down. There's no further fight for JDG, although they might actually be able to find Feather here, who ends up on the wrong side of things, and it's Gala picking up the kill. HongQ wants a little bit more. He's under no threat as the Herald gets another crash, and JDG descending like a pack of wolves, chopping down this turret.
Yeah, they're going to be able to pick up 2 towers right here, and they even managed to teleport HongQ out into the mid lane to stop Arn from being able to pick that one up.
Flank.
Yeah, now they want to
Here
go
goes
for
the
this
Keshi
play.
TP. This is their chance if they want it, but Heru is taking a lot of damage because Gala is just not afraid to go right at him. On over on the side of the wall dealing with HongQ. This means Heru is dead, and the rest of ThunderTalk are just put on the opposite side of where they wanted to be.
Yeah, it's just another misplay right here out of ThunderTalk, thinking that maybe they had the potential turnaround. Junhao is going to have to go recall next to the Wolf Pit, or I guess take this Wolf Pit away and then run back to his base. Really just weird decision-making out of ThunderTalk on that one. Let's have a watch back at how this one works out. Keshi had just used his E, so he doesn't have his hook shot. He really needed this Tempered Fate to keep him alive for a second. Then he Hextech ultimatums into dodge out and jumps back away. Feather, though, needs to be running so much quicker than this. The second that he puts down that Temper Fate, really, he needed to have turned the back around and run away. Instead, he gets caught out, but that should be the end of this, right? You should be conceding this tower, everything, and then you walk out. But the attempt at the big flank, right, you can see it coming through from multiple members of ThunderTalk. But Heru just mistimes when he can go forwards and gets himself caught out. Without the Victor, you can't make that play happen.
The solo laners for ThunderTalk, as we mentioned about the solo laners of JDG, are always willing to put their bodies on the line for the team, and unfortunately for Heru, he frontlined a little too close to the sun. There's a big reason why that ThunderTalk were not able to bite back on that play, and if Keshi was able to make a big impact there, we could be talking about a different game. Instead, Bloxer, we're talking about a 4,000 gold lead for JDG. We're talking about Chemtech Soul coming up in about 30 seconds, which is so good for this team that benefits so much from these shields from Vampire. Xiaoxu himself is going to benefit so much from this, and it feels like ThunderTalk are priced into this fight.
Yeah, they are just kind of having to play in these fights, right? They're going to have to keep stepping up. They can't afford to just keep letting the game happen to them, but JDG in a great spot right here. 4,000 gold up. Teleport coming on in as well right now. And to bring this Olaf in. I don't know that you can step up to this one, but you can't afford to give away the soul.
We'll see if Junhao can steal it. Vampire is going to spot him out. 5,000 HP and dropping as ThunderTalk are trying to take purchase into this river, but you always have to deal with those pesky saplings. Meanwhile, HongQ on the backside, grabbing the attention of ThunderTalk in the pit. Junhao going in,
ooh,
steals it away.
Steals it.
Now can ThunderTalk get out? Guess what? Olaf's running right at you, and he's going to go over the wall. He took a magical journey. The Berserker going through, chopping down Heru too. On has to flash away. Keshi's out of there. ThunderTalk get the prize, but at the cost of 2 members of their team.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite going to be enough members going down for it to be the Baron right here for JDG, but they're going to be more than happy with this one. This is the joy of picking up the first 3 Drakes of the game. You force ThunderTalk to come play around you. Even if they do pick up one of these Drakes and you don't get the soul, still get a couple of kills, still get some gold value out of this one. However, I would have liked to see JDG play this one a little bit more aggressive right here onto Junhao. I think they totally could have afforded to. They really just sort of sat back, allowed Junhao to play this one. He sat in the pit for so long, split off from the rest of his team. Really nice play on the smite right here. Not quite going to be able to limp away as everybody else. As you said, magical journey is kind of crazy. At least you're able to get one back here.
You see that damage that Keshi did?
Yeah.
If he's able to get on Gala and Gala can't spell shield the precision protocol, I mean, that boy is dead.
And there's a real good chance of it. There's a real good chance of it. And you know, as much as we are criticizing ThunderTalk for playing out this game pretty slowly, they are beginning to get towards some more items that can help them out, that can make things work for them, right? Still desperately waiting. There we go. Liandry's just now going to be completed for Heru. Pretty dang slow to getting towards that second item for him. But at this point, Blackfire, Liandry's level 13, he's going to be doing some pretty decent damage if he's able to get an Arcane Storm down in the middle of a team fight.
But now ThunderTalk need to be the first to the objective in order to really maximize the value of this Victor that's on 2 items. And it is so hard to try to wade through. Again, we talk about those saplings. If you're not there first, you're going to take too much damage. I think JunJia could be doing a bit better of a job to try to get those down and make sure that ThunderTalk are taking fights at 80% HP as opposed to full. Baron still available. Not sure if JDG are going to go after it quite yet, but that is the phase of the game where they could just try to go after it. They are up 4,000 gold right now, Bloxer. A lot of that is in this mid lane. HongQ at 2-1-1 has been rather quiet, but as we all know, Akali always has the opportunity to completely pop off in a team.
Absolutely. As long as he's able to get some backline access, things could look pretty good. And on the hunt, going to be
that
popped. I think they're all fine, though. Yep, just about going to be able to sneak away.
Okay, stuns onto Xiaoxu. He's not going to take that magical journey, and this turret is very low. ThunderTalk really trying to get this turret. Desperately want to just put one more auto attack on it. Meanwhile, Keshi will head to a side lane, and if he's able to put down some split push pressure, you still have a lifeline to pull JDG around. Remember, they have not been perfect.
No. They have not. JDG have not shown us that they know how to play perfect League of Legends. Good enough to win, most certainly. As we only see just a couple camps being stolen away in this situation. 5,000 gold right now going to be the advantage at this point, and again, it is reflecting in the items in a couple different spots, really. The bot lane, the main thing at the moment, 3 items now going to be completed on this Sivir. Gala has kind of had the ideal Sivir game right here. Going to hit 300 CS very soon. Nobody was particularly putting pressure onto him. Exactly what you want as an ADC.
Yep. This is the dream life. Hasn't had to use his summoners or anything like that.
He's been chilling.
It's an 80 carries paradise, Bloxer. Minute and 15 seconds until this next dragon is up, and ThunderTalk are going to have to flip it one more time, it looks like, because they are not able to set up first. It is just a fact when you are down this much, as JDG can just kind of throw their weight around a little bit here. So we'll see what ThunderTalk's approach is going to look like. HongQ is going to be up in this top lane, so look for him to try to teleport into this fight on the flank.
And it'd be interesting to see if anybody goes towards the Baron, tries to sneak one away. I don't think so. I think we're just going to get a bit of a straight-up fight around this objective. Junhao all the way top lane, though, so maybe something different coming on through. 30 seconds until he needs to be down in the bottom lane. He can take a reset and walk there. He's going to have enough time to be able to do that. In fact, everybody who was top just goes and takes those resets through. Like you said, though, all of the vision set up for JDG. There is basically nothing to play around for ThunderTalk other than Scuttle Crab. It's the only bit of vision they have around.
And they're so worried about these saplings that Keshi and Junhao both have Hex Drifters.
Yeah. Yeah. Just such a rough spot to be in right here for ThunderTalk, because again, all the setup already here. Keshi, he does have the teleport available, though it looks like he's just going to try walk his way down. They need to be pretty quick, though. You can burst through this Drake very fast as JDG.
Dragon has been started up. It's at 5,000 HP and getting lower. Ezreal's going to help out a little bit. And Junhao lying in wait, ready to go over the wall. Here come the roots. That Q's going to time out. Dragon's at 2,000 and it goes down. And here goes HongQ and Heru goes down. Junhao going to be the next target with the perfect execution. The exhausted HongQ, but he goes golden. Cancels out Keshi's ultimate. And Gala's bouncing blades with a beautiful flash means that ThunderTalk are just falling apart at the seams. It's JDG Gaming finding 4 kills, finding that soul, and maybe finding a game 2 win.
That should be the game right here. Only a single member remaining. No Baron buff even going to be needed in this situation as they push straight through the mid lane. JDG gonna send us to a game number 3.
Tough for ThunderTalk if it is truly the end of this game, and it looks like it might be. Heru's coming up in 7 seconds. You really need these 2-0s when you are at a -7 game differential. JDG looking for the end, and with 10 seconds on multiple targets, it does not look like Heru will be able to stop this. The minions are still alive. The final turret will fall, and JDG Gaming not up the series at 1 apiece.
Off the back of such an impressive game out of ThunderTalk, just disappointing from them in that one. You highlighted it brilliantly, Yanni. They were just not proactive at the point at which this composition needed to make things happen. I didn't hate the Victor so much, but I think you were right. He was just the wrong pick. It baited them into thinking, we can wait out, we can go late, we don't need to push the boat out at this point in the game, and it meant that they allowed the windows in which they were strong to just straight up pass them by.
Guys, you have triple Trinity Force, man. Why are we not fighting at the next objective? Yeah. This is the exact problem that we had with JDG in Game 1, where their composition is strong at a certain point of the game, and their first play didn't go so well. So they were too afraid to actually do anything about it, and that just meant that they just kind of sat in the game and, you know, let their strong points pass them by. This is the exact same thing that ThunderTalk did this time around. And I can't believe they couldn't see in the moment that they were doing the same thing that JDG was in game 1. It boggles my mind, Bloxer. There has to be a tongue lashing coming out from the coaching staff after that one. Like, guys, why are we so afraid? You've got Trinity Force. If you lose the fight, at least you go down swinging, right?
Yeah, they kind of went down with a whimper right there, and I think what really worries me for ThunderTalk going into this next game is that over the course of these 2 games, even with the dominant win that we saw from ThunderTalk in the first one, ThunderTalk haven't actually shown us very much proactivity. In the first game, they were punishing onto over-aggressive mistakes out of JDG, onto wrong map play that JDG was going for, macro errors, micro errors, all of that combined into ThunderTalk being able to just punish whenever JDG flung themselves at them. And in the second game, JDG didn't do that ineffectively, instead found good ganks, found good angles to go in, and ThunderTalk just get run over. If ThunderTalk aren't able to play with their own level of proactivity, they are fully reliant on JDG messing things up, which, you know, they might do, right? It can definitely get you a win here and there, but isn't necessarily enough to win you the series.
Participation award going over to Junhao with 4,500 damage. He had one good play. It was up on that top side, that counter attack that saved Keshi. That was the moment that I thought, like, oh, ThunderTalk are going to get right back on the horse. Things are going to be good. And things were not good, Bloxer. Nope. Not good at all.
9% damage as the 5.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Game. Oh my god.
That's pretty rough. Vampire continuing to be the best true support in the LPL by not taking any kills this game, the least amount of kills out of any support between him and Perukia going into the series today. So the supportiest support award going over to him. This was the best play that ThunderTalk made all game.
Yeah, literally the ideal, and they still have a bit of a weird tempered fate right here that potentially cuts them off from being able to make more things happen. HongQ's able to get involved in this game, and I find it a little bit tricky in this one to particularly point to one specific member of JDG that had just a completely insane pop-off performance, right? Xiaoxu looks really good during the early stages, JunJia's able to find some things, HongQ's pretty good. Gala has the world's chillest game on the Sivir that you can imagine, right? But it's just ThunderTalk not doing anything that really punishes.
Yeah, and this really gives us a conundrum for player of the game, right? Because you have a lot of options here. Obviously, Xiaoxu, in the counter matchup, he did go down a lot of CS. However, he did get a solo kill. He also had a lot of moments where he was able to force Keshi off and kind of keep things pretty even, didn't let Keshi run away with the game. JunJia made that first gank happen, had some pretty solid ultimates, just feels like a pretty standard Maokai game. HongQ went in a couple times, got a couple kills, didn't really do crazy Akali things, and it's so hard to give a lot of credit over to a Karma because Karma's not a flashy support.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm
my
kind of lost on who to give this to. Maybe you just go by scoreline. Yeah, you just go by scoreline. You give it to Vampire. This guy didn't die. 0-0-14.
Yeah.
Clearly
no
just
kills,
did the job
no
that
deaths.
he needed to do.
Yes. That would be my thinking, right? If I had a vote right here, I'd be voting for Vampire because he did exactly what his job was in every situation. He was keeping people alive, he was tethering people up, he was being annoying with the poke early on, right? He did everything that was asked of him. I just don't see that being the case in this situation. I think it's far more likely that we're going to end up with an MVP going over to JunJia or Xiaoxu or maybe even HongQ. I think maybe... Ooh... I think maybe Xiaoxu gets it?
He could. There are quite a few players on this team that I would be okay with. I think if he gave it to HongQ or Gala, I'm less enthused about it. Gala really didn't have a signature Sivir fight, nor did HongQ have a signature Akali fight.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty down for everybody else, really.
Yeah.
Maybe Xiaoxu gets a little bit more love because he was in a counter matchup.
True. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's something that the AI they've got analyzing these games is really looking for. Did you win in a matchup you're not supposed to? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see on that one. It really was one of the most overall team victories that we've seen, but also overall team losses that we've seen from the other squad. That's now both of these games, right? ThunderTalk mess a game up horribly in game 2. JDG mess a game up horribly in game number 1. I'd love to see some real clean back and forth League of Legends out of these guys in game number 3. And it is going to go to Xiaoxu. I think that makes sense, right? It was sort of the best looking scoreline overall. Like you said, counter matchup that could potentially have been a bit rough for him. And he did play pretty well overall.
Yeah, not too bad. It was a terror in a lot of these team fights. If I think back to a lot of these fights and I had to pick one player that consistently made an impact when they were there, I think it would have to be Xiaoxu. So this is a solid MVP. His 6th MVP of the split. For a while, he was the only guy getting MVPs over on the side of JDG. So it's nice to see him return to his MVP winning ways, Bloxer.
Yeah, absolutely. It is nice to see, and